Everybody, it's me, Shell360. How are you guys doing today? Today is Monday, the last day of August of 2020. We get closer and closer to the end of this godforsaken year, and I, for one, am grateful for the end coming. Uh, this has been an interesting weekend. It was an interesting weekend. The weekend for me, the high point was filming my Boys Love vlog with Mason. We had a chance to talk about History Trapped, which is always a good time. And it was nice to see that the VMAs awarded at least one Moon Man to my favorite song of the year, Blinding Lights. BTS won 4 VMAs. Blackpink won a VMA. A lot of good performances. Apparently, the Black Eyed Peas have glow in the dark penises now. Good things happen. But of course, along with all joy, there is pain. And over the weekend, Chadwick Boseman died, who played Black Panther. And I don't know, man. It was just really sad. Hey, Alondra. It was really sad for me, but not like I wasn't as sad as a lot of people on the timeline were. It was sad for me because the Black Panther movie was a really fun and kind of empowering cinema experience. I really enjoyed going with my family to watch it. But hearing about the fact that this man hid his cancer for 4 years, it brought a lot of thoughts to me about like what I would do for my family. And I'm not trying to turn around on me, but I was just in my mind trying to think like, what would cause somebody to not only work as hard as he did the last few years of his life, but also not tell anybody. And there's a lot of people who have been giving this narrative that, oh, well, it's because he has so much strength and he's just such a powerful man and so strong. But I was thinking in my own mind, that's part of it. But I really, really think the other part of it is that fear that a lot of people have when they are the breadwinner for their family. I mean, Chadwick Boseman made obscene amounts of money to be Black Panther, but even making obscene amounts of money, he was living at a level where you need obscene amounts of money in order to survive. Like you can't have a house in the hills without making a ton of money because there's taxes to be paid and there's maintenance to be done and all this other stuff. And Chadwick Boseman also had extended family, and so I was talking about it with my mom, and I'm like, if I was in his same position, I might would do the same thing. I might would just keep my diagnosis a secret so that I can continue to work, and then I would try to make as much money and put out as much content as I could until I couldn't do it anymore, just to make sure everyone around me was okay. Now, a lot of people are bearing up the fact that they never knew he had cancer and it never got leaked, and they're surprised that this was such a big kept secret. But I also understand from a movie making point of view that this had to be a secret. Absolutely. So, whenever you're doing a movie, everyone who is a key player to that movie has insurance placed on them by the studio. So, the studio tests them for drugs, tests them for their health. They also check their environment, they check their background to make sure that this person who's a key player in the movie is going to make it from the first day of shooting to the last day of shooting. Because let's say you have a movie that costs millions of dollars to make and your lead actor dies halfway through the filming. Well, in some cases, you wouldn't be able to finish the filming depending on who they were, or it might be very expensive to pay for the CGI to create a performance in a movie. So everyone who does a movie has to have a whole bunch of insurance in order to be able to be cast and then to make a project run through. Chadwick Boseman, being a person with stage 3, soon to be stage 4 cancer, he might have been like, I need everyone around me to keep this under wraps because I'm not going to get insured to finish this movie if they know that I'm in such dire medical straits. And so part of the secrecy may have been that he didn't want everybody to know what happened, but the other part of it could very well have been that he didn't want to lose the opportunity to do the work and get the work put in the can before he passed on. I'm not saying for a fact that that's what happened. I'm not trying to cast, I'm not saying this is the thing, but these are the things that ran through my mind as I was thinking more and more about the situation. And you know, it just really sucks that we live in a world where people almost have to put their health on the back burner to ensure financial stability for their families, to be able to do something something to them because the world is so discriminatory against people with disabilities and people who have sicknesses. Like somebody with his kind of illness, you know, he probably would have said, hey, can I do this without the insurance and then just make allowances for my illness? And I'm sure there's somebody from the top of the studio who would have said, no, there's no fucking way. We're not going to do that. It's too much of a risk. And there's no mechanism for allowances for these kinds of things. And it's just very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. So I hate that he had to hide his illness. Another part of it could also just be that he's a very private person. That I absolutely feel is the case as well. But, you know, there is a necessity sometimes to just keep it under wraps because you're looking out for so much more than yourself. You're looking out for your mom's well being after you pass, your wife, your brothers and sisters, your nephews and nieces who you set up college funds for, all these people who depend on you, you know? I'm like, there's a lot of people that it seems like they were really hyping up Black Panther after he died. Like, oh, it's this huge deal and it means so much to everybody. And I'm sure that somebody who didn't watch Black Panther or who has no interest in Marvel movies does not care and is like, I don't get what the hype is. But let me tell you a quick little story about being a K-pop fan because that's what I am. And we mostly talk about K-pop here. So I was listening to the podcast for Ask Me About K-pop, and they have a whole episode talking about like problematic faves. And a lot of the problematic fave stuff has to do with cultural appropriation. And they had one particular section full of like idols that have done blackface, instances of blackface in Korea. And part of the reason why blackface is something that is performed outside of America is because early media that escaped America, early silent films, and going on and on and on, Black people were portrayed in blackface. And there's this Korean comedian whose name escapes me, but back when I would say the 90s, when Korea got their Olympics, I think they had an Olympics in the 90s before they had their most recent one. He was known for doing his performances in blackface, and he was asked by the government, "Hey, Korea thinks you're so incredibly funny. Would you mind doing one of your blackface performances for us at the Olympics? It'll be part of the opening ceremony." And he was like, "No, I think this is Korean humor. Maybe the world won't get it, so I'm just gonna stay over here and just not do that." The world sees Black people based on what they see in movies. If they see us stealing in movies, if they see us shooting in movies, if they see us committing crimes in movies, if they see us as promiscuous in movies, in populations where there are no Black people, a lot of what they think about us comes from the media that America releases into the world. And that's the reason why a movie like Black Panther is so important. It's not just important for small Black children to see a superhero that looks like them and who's regal and who's handsome and who's smart and who's strong and who's sensitive and empathetic. It's also so that people who don't know us can see us and say, Black people are regal, they are strong, they are empathetic, they have a strong sense of community, they have a strong sense of culture, they're thoughtful, they're intellectual, they're creative, they're scientific. All of these things need to be out in the world. Because when they're out there, it makes the world a safer place for us. So many times in my life, personally, I thought about the fact that there's nowhere for me to go. Like, if I want to leave America, Canada, Australia, the UK might be the only places I can go because my language skills are very limited. But
It's never too late to learn.
traveling, just for vacation purposes, just to see the world, traveling is something I'm always concerned about. And it's one of the reasons why, even though there was a period in time about 10 years ago when I really wanted to go to different Asian countries, I never felt like I could go. I never felt like I could go because I was like, number one, I'm fat, and most countries don't have accommodations for fat people. Like the bus seats are narrow and everything's narrow. But two, I don't feel comfortable being in countries outside of America because I don't know what they think of me. I'm an automatic outsider because of the way that I look. And so it's scary. It's a scary prospect for me to be out there in the world and be a black person. And so, with all that being said and all that being considered, having movies like The Black Panther and other movies that portray us in a favorable light and encourage the world to get to know us better are really good. Because then, if I can travel to the other side of the world and the only context they have for us is what they've seen in the movies, but what they're seeing are beautiful representations of us, then they'll be intrigued by me and they'll want to know more about me and they'll want to know more about me in a positive way. And so that's one of the things that was so important about the Black Panther movie is that it playing on a worldwide stage because Marvel movies are international releases, so it's a huge release. It playing on an international scale makes people more sympathetic to us and who we are. And that's what I want is just a chance for people to want to get to know me and for me to make a favorable impression to them. So I thank Chadwick Boseman and everyone connected with that movie for what they did for us in the world. And I hope that Chadwick Boseman is finally getting the rest he deserved and that he left this world feeling that he accomplished everything that he could in the amount of time that he was given and that he left his business as attended as possible and that now he's finally at peace. So, with that being said, let's get on to a little bit happier news. Let's talk about the fact that BTS scored the very first number one on the Billboard Hot 100 of a Korean act ever, ever in the history of Billboard. I'm not even gonna act like I love Dynamite. That's not true. You guys know how I feel about Dynamite. I think it's an okay song at best. But Dynamite had to be number one on the Billboard. It just had to be. From the amount of streams that it got to the amount of YouTube views that it got, from the amount of merch that was purchased. Like I bought 3 copies of Dynamite when it came out. I bought a vinyl, I bought a cassette tape, and I bought the MP3. All that cumulatively, there was no way it couldn't be number one. There was just no way it couldn't be number one. But it's quite a special moment for those of us who are second gen fans. For fans who are like fans of BTS alone or they came into K-pop through being an army, I don't know if this means much to you. I mean, yes, it means a lot as a fan to see your fandom have a huge victory like that. I'm not taking that away from anybody. What I mean by what I'm saying is that you probably don't see the progression. You probably don't see all of the baby steps that were made to get to this point. Hey, Meg. And Janini, I did see your message about Heath Ledger. That was, I remember that. That and the Bob Dylan movie he was working on, I think. Um, so, as a second gen fan, when we think about K-pop in America, for a lot of us, it's not the names that you hear now. We think about SNSD bringing on the boys. We think of Rain being not a singer in America, but being an actor in Speed Racer and Ninja Assassin. We think of Seven and the song he did with Little Kim. We think of Boa, I'll Eat You Up. We think of freaking the Wonder Girls, Nobody, Two Different Tiers. We think of Psy's Gangnam Style. There's so much content that Korea sent to America before BTS hit. And when we think about all these acts that tried to break into America and just didn't make a blip in a lot of ways, except for those of us who are really paying attention, and that's our gateway to K-pop. I would be one of them, the Wonder Girls. Um, when we think about like how even 5 years ago, if you told somebody I listened to K-pop, the very next question without fail would be, what's that? Without fail. It didn't matter who you were talking to, anyone. If you said, I listen to K-pop, the first question is, what's that? And my answer used to always be, oh, it's just pop music, but it's sung in Korean because it's from Korea. Oh, how'd you get into that? Oh, well, it's just funny, my daughter, and it came on television, and it looked kind of cool, and it's just really fun. The videos are very colorful, do a lot of dancing. It's really cute. I think you like it. You should listen. That's how the conversation goes. This is a totally different world now. In order for an act like BTS to be number one on Billboard, the question of what is K-pop, that's not the question anymore. Now, when you say, oh, I listen to K-pop, the next thing out of people's mouths is, oh, like BTS, like Blackpink, and it's stunning. It's stunning that that's the way that conversation has changed now. And I know a lot of people in second gen who complain about the fact that when people think of K-pop, they think of BTS and Blackpink. And to them, I have to say, why are you so fucking bitter? Like, seriously, why are you so bitter? Because for the longest time, when people thought of K-pop, they thought of Psy's Gangnam Style, which is barely K-pop. Barely K-pop. I mean, there were a few people who knew Big Bang, and that was something big. Few people knew SNSD. That was pretty big. And there's people like me who found K-pop through the Wonder Girls. But if you look at the actual musical output of Blackpink and BTS, it's quality music. Like I said, Dynamite's not my favorite BTS song by far, but I can list off at least 10 BTS songs that I love. And that says something. I can list off several Blackpink songs. I can't give you 10, but I can give you several Blackpink songs that I enjoy. And that says a lot. I know where Blackpink's sound comes from, and I could talk to you all day about 2NE1. And the fact that a group that represents so much of what 2NE1 was during their heyday, but has been kind of refined and kind of polished over to make it a little bit more palatable, a little bit younger, a little bit more attractive, according to YG. Yeah, I don't have a problem with people thinking about Blackpink when they think about K-pop. I don't have a problem with people thinking about Twice when they think about K-pop. I do not have a problem with people thinking about BTS when they think about K-pop. They are talented dancers, they are talented singers, they are talented lyricists, rappers, producers. A lot of the stuff that Suga produces when he's away from BTS is some really great music. Suron's line, to this day, is probably my favorite thing that he's ever produced, and it's Suron's best song, Fight Me. A fact, Wine is her best song. I say all this to say that second gen, we just gotta get over it. We just gotta get over it, and we gotta embrace this new. I'm not saying that you have to rush out and buy your copy of Dynamite. I'm not saying you have to buy Super M's album when it comes out. I'm not saying that you have to just redirect all your funds. You can still collect your second gen favorites if you want to. You can still support all your second gen favorites. I know I will. I'll be buying Taman's new album. Fact. And I've already reserved at least one copy of Super M's album on Amazon. I'm still supporting, but this is the new normal. And this is an amazing new normal. If we just want to really talk about it, this right here, right now, is an amazing new normal. And we need to celebrate it for what it is, rather than being so up our own asses about, but it's not the one that should have made it. Because that's what people are doing. They're like, oh, I guess it's okay that BTS did it, but like, why couldn't it have been group X, Y, and Z? When really, we've gotten to a point in K-pop where no one's really cheering for everybody. Like there's still a few of us multi fans who just like everybody. Like there's some of us who are just like, you know what, that was a great song. I like that. Where we don't know the names of anybody in these groups, we barely know any of these groups, but we know what songs we like and we listen to them. Like literally, I was in the car today, I heard Apple by G-Friend. I'm like, oh, I forgot that song came out. That was a really good song. And then I was listening to The Boys, and it was one of the songs from Road to Kingdom called Quasi Una Fantasia, and I was like that. So yeah, there's some of us who just listen to the music, and if it was ATEEZ who did number one first, there'd be a ton of hate for that. If it was freaking IZ*ONE who did number one first, there'd be a ton of hate for that. And when Blackpink eventually goes number one, because they more than likely will, there'll be a ton of hate for that. But I don't understand why, because I have been a part of that K-pop generation that was like, God, when will they ever think of K-pop as something more than some weird link to anime? Because really and truly, when you said K-pop to people, if they had any kind of inkling about what it was, if you got past the what is that and got to a different question, it was like, oh, like the theme songs for animes? And it's just like, you know, like this is progress. This really, the fact that people know a K-pop group by name and more than likely by appearance as well, that shit's huge. That shit's huge. And there are artists who are going to look at K-pop differently now. That's the other thing that comes with this kind of recognition. So at the VMAs, a lot of people are like, oh, the top performance I want to see tonight is BTS because I've been hearing so much about them and this is going to be our first time watching them perform. There are going to be artists who are going to look at BTS and say, this is interesting. This is something I can work with. But I don't necessarily think that I can work with BTS because they might be out of my own personal league. But I go ahead and put on the K-pop playlist on Spotify and see if there's somebody who catches my eye, and I might start doing a collab with them. And that's when we really get the cool shit. That's when we really get the amazing stuff. That's when you have Key collabing with independent artists. That's when you have freaking Crush doing a song with Pink Sweats. That's when you get the really neat shit. And that is what's coming as well. And that's the shit that we need to be really excited about too. Because BTS is opening a door for other people to get to know K-pop. And there are people who are going to start out in the mainstream and then trickle their way down to the independent leagues. There are people who are looking at BTS and like, okay, well, what is a TXT? What's this Pledis thing you have going? Who's G-Friend? Who's 17? Newest? What the fuck is that? There are people who are going to listen to Blackpink and be like, okay, Blackpink, it's a label called YG. Okay, you guys have Big Bang. Okay, cool. Who's this Zion T guy y'all are talking about? That's how it goes. That's how it goes. And pretty soon, probably in another 5 years, perhaps, you're going to have people who are collabing with K artists on the regular, and it's going to have nothing to do with trying to be a part of the next BTS's launch. It's going to have to do with real artistry and people wanting to be a part of something different and something groundbreaking and something that's outside the norm. And I'm here for it. I'm so here for it. And I'm just, this is it. Like, this is the dream. The next big dream is the Grammys, but this is the dream. We're living in the dream. We're living in the hope. 5 years ago, when we thought, wow, will a K-pop artist ever be played on the radio? This is it. This is what we wanted. So why are we so fucking pressed about it? This is really what we wanted. Why are we pressed about it? So I give my congratulations to BTS. Like I said, Dynamite's not my favorite. This is the third time I've said it in the same conversation, but I give it to them. This is not a vote based on the popularity of a song. This is a vote based on a career spent getting to this league. This is DNA being used, this is fake love being used, this is on being used, this is like steadily moving forward until the world just had to be on pins and needles to see what the next thing is you do. And this is the outcome. So yeah, I'm here for it. I'm really here for it. I know, just like I've always done, I'll buy BTS's new project, possibly sight unseen. I didn't buy all four of the versions of the Seven album. So I can't say that I'm going to pre order all the versions of whatever the next thing is because I've tempered my expectations on recent output. But I will still buy at least one copy to support. I already know I'm going to buy a copy of Blackpink's album when it shows up in Target. I'm going to buy a copy of Super M's album when it shows up in Target. I was at my local Target this weekend with Stephanie, and I saw TXT albums at Target, which I did not know Target was selling TXT albums. I would have bought it from there instead of buying it from Zen Market. So that was different. That was interesting. But yeah, I'm here for the growth. I'm here for all of it. I'm here for the day where there's a vinyl section in Target and there's a K-pop section in Target. Okay, I feel like K-pop is getting more hate now because it's gotten so big. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, yeah, I saw TXT albums in Target. It's crazy. It was the purple and the white covers of their last release. People hate K-pop, but you know why? Because it's easy to hate things that women and girls love.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's it. That's just it. That's why people hated 50 Shades of Grey. That's why people hated One Direction. That's why people hate K-pop. If they think that women and girls love it, then it's to be shit upon. Do you want to know the reason why Dramageddon was the focus of so many people's attention on YouTube? Because it's makeup. And makeup is the domain of women and gay men, according to most of America.
All people, really.
Well, a lot of straight men don't wear makeup.
Yeah.
So that's why people were like, ooh, look at what the girls and the gays are fighting over. And it's sad that the things that we like are considered inferior. Meanwhile, men are such petty fucking drama queens that they get into fights over fucking video games and end up sending the fucking SWAT team to people's houses over fucking video games. But all of a sudden, we're the childish ones. We're the petty ones. When y'all are fucking getting into brawls over prank channels and you took my girlfriend and you're trying to wear the same outfit as me and you copied my merch line and all this other fucking just
3
insanity.
months of content for those commentary channels.
I'm telling you, right?
But yeah, Dramageddon is, why are y'all all complaining? Y'all are all stupid. This is silly.
Yeah. I can't believe y'all are fighting over makeup. So I say all that to say, I'm not surprised that K-pop is getting hate because K-pop was like the next big thing. The people who hated One Direction, the people who hated NSYNC, the people who hated Backstreet Boys, the people who hated New Kids on the Block, the people who hate things, especially things that young girls like. Mm-hmm. I need to make sure I put that fine point on it for you.
Because back in the days when people
didn't hate on Boys to Men.
No, I mean,
people didn't hate on New Edition.
I was going to talk about another thing. Back in the days when people were just starting to hear about Halsey, 21 Pilots, well, not just starting, but like that era of Tumblr, you know, with like the aesthetic-y lyric posts from the lyrics of the neighborhood, whatever. A lot of men sort of hated that subculture, as well as the many teenage girls who flocked to that. They're like, oh, y'all are the stereotypical posers, and y'all don't know anything about real music. This is fake music.
Janini, I'll say this. I never was a Tumblr girl. I had a couple of different Tumblrs, and I literally used them to like follow up on SHINee.
A couple Tumblrs just for SHINee.
Yes, leave me alone. It's my business. Because one of them was where I would like post my writing when I would write stuff, and then the other one was like for me to follow.
Were you famous?
No, never. Anyway, the fandoms where I saw the most hate from the general public When I was a fan of NSYNC, people hated NSYNC. But then Justin Timberlake came out, and black people loved Justin Timberlake when Justified came out. Like, this is not revisionist history. This is a fact. Black people loved Justified.
It's the Timbaland production.
It was the Timbaland production. It was the Pharrell Williams production. It was an R&B album. It was a soul album. In fact, I would like to say this too. R&B has been many the savior of young people who wanted to be taken seriously that are not African American.
That's true.
There's a lot of people who said, I'm fixing to go my independent route, and the first thing I'm going to do is sing R&B, and all of a sudden be like, oh, you're really trying to be an artist there, aren't you? So, yeah.
Because black people make people go viral.
I'm just saying, like, if people get wind that black people like it, it doesn't seem to get as much, well, except
from
for
the black community.
Except for rap music. Rap music, everybody's got a shit on rap music for some reason.
This is garbage, except for my favorite rapper, Eminem.
Well, I will say, like, a lot of the rap hate is a holdover from the 80s. Like, it's a big holdover from the 80s. But, like, when it comes to R&B and soul music, if people think that black people like it, they're less likely to criticize it. So, like, when it comes to Boyz II Men, when it comes to Chris Brown, when it comes to a lot of artists that women like that are primarily focused on a more African American audience, it doesn't get as much of the general population hate. But when it's something that they think that young white women really love, whoo, the hate train, beep, beep, I'm ready to go. They hate Taylor Swift.
It's the misogyny for me.
They hate One Direction. They hate anybody who's ever been on Disney or Nickelodeon.
And I would go a step further. I mean, I'm just speculating a little bit. Mm-hmm. I feel like it applies for a heavily woman fan base, and also kind of for like a heavily assigned female at birth fan base, you know?
I mean, I'm just gonna say women. But yeah, a lot of hate just because they know that women get, and K-pop, you know, on the whole, for the most part, tends to draw I would say probably 90% female fan base, and a lot of the international K-pop fan base is white. Whether it's white European, white American, it's mostly white. So, yeah, of course it's going to be a symbol of hate. Of course.
They're just fetishizing boys that look like girls.
But there's one more thing that is a hateful element to K-pop. No. Besides the fetishization accusations that K-pop gets about how, you know, the reason why women like K-pop is because K-pop idols represent a harmless type of man as opposed to, you know, your Arnold Schwarzenegger type. The other part of it is the intersection between social justice and K-pop. Early on with K-pop, a lot of us spent a lot of time justifying listening to K-pop by saying, well, language doesn't have a border. Anyone can listen to any kind of music. It doesn't matter. Quit hating on K-pop because it's Korean. And a lot of people who liked K-pop were also very, you know, open-minded and very socially aware. And K-pop itself has been used to propel a few different social ideologies. A lot of me, for example, if you go on my Twitter, I'm talking about K-pop, I'm talking about Black Lives Matter, I'm talking about international unrest. I have a weird conflux, and boys love. I have a weird conflux of things you'll find on my Twitter.
Well, you are a Black American.
And there are a lot of people who are non-liberal, a lot of men who are anti-woman in types, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people who are anti-social justice warrior, and the K-pop community represents like the trifecta of everything they fucking hate.
And some of them
they
aren't
hate
even
foreigners.
Social justice warriors. They're just people who are closed-minded.
But they don't like foreigners. They don't like soft-looking men, according to them. They don't like things that women like. And they don't like that most people, and this is a generalization, who listen to K-pop tend to be a little bit more open-minded.
This is a call out to Ethan Clark.
So, with that in mind, I'm not surprised about why people hate K-pop. There's so many different intersections in K-pop that people just can't stand. And so, there you go. It's just that I've been into K-pop since 2012, but because K-pop wasn't as known then, I was afraid of being judged if I listened to it, and now I feel like I'm being judged because K-pop is so known now. It's truly frustrating. I imagine it is. I imagine it is. The fan cam really did a lot of damage to the K-pop community when people started responding to everything with fan cams, and when the whole Stan Luna thing was a meme. It really did a lot of damage to what people thought being a K-pop fan meant.
Oh yeah.
That and like I watched the progression of ARMY over social media really change. So like I remember when BTS first started getting American interviews, and fans were so kind to anybody who would talk to BTS. But like if an interviewer gave a particularly good interview and like really seemed interested and really seemed knowledgeable, fans would freaking send flowers to the station and like were really, really kind. And then as BTS started to be shown more and more on television and they started to have more and more Western appearances, it then morphed from thank you for talking to our boys to you better give them the right kind of interview questions. You better have deference when you talk to them. You better not make them uncomfortable. Which I get that. I'm not saying it's wrong to feel that way, but like that's when like a lot of the super negative stuff started to come through. And then a lot of like the kind of bullying, and then like the other pocket of Twitter life, social media life, that is something that I don't personally understand, but I've seen it play out time and time again. Okay, so a lot of us have online identities. Like a lot of us are one person online and a totally different person in life. And a lot of us have these huge online identities that are really, really important to us. And it helps us kind of define who we are, even in our real life spaces. And there are people who became known on Twitter, on Instagram, for being that type of ARMY. Not like a super negative one, but like the ARMY who goes hard or who spends all their time responding to things like stand BTS for clear skin, stuff like that, right? And so it became possible to garner a following of thousands of people and get like major internet clout points for being a super aggressive ARMY, to be that ARMY who calls out all of this supposed wrongdoing and bad behavior, to be the ARMY with the hot takes about how BTS is so much more ahead of everybody else in their field, and be the one who spends your time comparing the accomplishments of BTS to everybody else in K-pop. To even be the kind of ARMY that when you see that another group is having a really good moment, to be like, that's cute and all, but BTS did A, B, C, and D. Like I saw one person on the timeline who wanted to start a hashtag for the day that Ice Cream with Selena Gomez and Blackpink came out, because they wanted to bury the mentions for Ice Cream. They wanted to have a higher trending hashtag. And it's just like, it's a level of petty that I get, but I don't understand why you would use your skills for nefariousness instead of good. And when these kinds of ARMYs started coming into the scene, and they weren't just pitting BTS against other K-pop acts, but like, oh, you like Bad Bunny? That's cool and all, but has Bad Bunny ever done this? Or, oh, you like Halsey? It's cool, except for she doesn't talk about BTS enough, and I think she might be writing them for popularity, as if Halsey wasn't a known name before she ever got with BTS.
Yeah.
But it's just like, that type of shit started existing, and that's when it was like, okay, the fuck is going on here? Like, real talk, the fuck is going on here? Are you so desperate for internet clout points that you are deciding to be a person who has nothing but negative shit to say? And I mean, there are times when it's important to call out bad behavior. Absolutely. You shouldn't let your faves be abused. Absolutely call that shit out. But there are other times when it's just like, are you serious right now? Are we really doing this right now? Where like somebody could wear a shirt and be like, well, BTS wore it first. Really? It's a shirt, my dear. They're not making clothes only for BTS. Everybody's shopping at the same fucking runway shows with the same fucking designers. If your faves are wearing Gucci, everybody else is too. Come on. So, I mean, it's just the online atmosphere has absolutely changed, and it's something that can be hard to take when you're a second gen. And it just seemed, again, I sound like the oldest lady in the world. Back in my day, but kind of, yeah, back in my day, it really felt like a lot of the second gen fans, if anything good happened to somebody in second gen, we were all kind of really excited for that, because it felt like if you didn't root for everybody, then they couldn't all succeed. And you wanted everyone to succeed. That way, at least one person could succeed. And it just doesn't feel that way anymore. It doesn't feel that way anymore, and that's unfortunate. That's sad. That is. But anyway, I'm really happy that BTS got their number one. I'm really happy that I had a chance to know who BTS was over the last several years. I've been collecting BTS for a minute now. I won't say like forever because that's not true, but I've been collecting BTS since before Dark and Wild came out. It was my first thing that I won, that I pre-ordered for BTS, that I wanted, and I remember getting it in the mail and being super excited about it. And I don't think I had any capacity in my mind to think that the group that put out Dark and Wild would one day have a number one song on the Billboard 100. So to me, it's a really excellent progression to make, and it's really nice to see people from a lot of different avenues in pop congratulating them and being familiar with who they are and giving K-pop a second look. And also, like, high key, shouts out to Lady Gaga, because she was the first big pop person who I remember really seeing it for K-pop. Like, Christina Aguilera did a video with Rain for Pepsi. It was like a commercial, but I don't think she really saw pop like that. I think she just saw it for Rain and the opportunity to make a little money in Korea. But like, Lady Gaga had Crayon Pop open for her when she went on tour years and years ago. And so I have to give it to her. That is a forward thinking bitch right there. And she has Blackpink on Chromatica. So, you know, at the end of the day, there are people who saw it for K-pop early on, and it's really nice to see their faith in the genre be paid off the way it is. Um, Gaga, I need you to go ahead and do that sour candy video. Not saying, just saying. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. The public wants to see it. Anyway.
I'm waiting for Cosmic Girls' time. Their time in the light. Where's their collaboration?
It could happen one day. I feel like if, you know, I'm almost done talking, but I'm going to say this. If Starship was smart, I know that sounds bad. If Starship was smart, they would quit trying to make Cosmic Girls work in Korea. And they would funnel every bit of money they had into making Cosmic Girls huge in China.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, the groundwork is there. The seeds have been sown. The notoriety and the publicity and the actual knowledge of these girls is there. I don't know why y'all keep wasting your time trying to make Korea a thing. I feel like Mean Girls. You're never going to be able to make Korea a thing. Go ahead and go to China and just fucking make your money. Like, really, really. You know, Starship is such a bizarre company. Starship is such a weird fucking company. Because, like, the raw materials for greatness have always been there. And then times when they have hit it out of the park. And then there's other times you're like, what are you doing? Why did you do that? That was not the thing to do. Like,
Was not the move.
I've said it before, and I will say it again. I do not understand why when Sistar broke up, they chose Soyu over Hyolyn. Now, I can only assume that Hyolyn didn't want to be a part of Starship anymore, and that is the reason why she's not with them today. But if it was actually Starship who said, we don't want to renew with you, why? Like, real talk, why? So, yeah, Starship, just figure it out. Figure it out. But yeah, the China line needs to get back with Cosmic Girls, and Cosmic Girl needs to do a huge Chinese release. And I think they should do
Three
it.
of the members are from China.
Yeah, that's what the China line.
And they're in like another thing called Rocket Girls.
Well, they're in that produce group that they had. But what they need to do is they need to get the China line back in line with the rest of the group. And then they need to do like a huge album produced by like all of the hottest people who do K-pop, but then pay some really well-known songwriters to do the lyrical piece on these songs, and then just put it out there and like just start printing their own money. Because that's what they'll be able to do if they were to get it done right.
Oh, I love printing money.
I mean, I would love to as well. So, you know, because it can happen. It absolutely can happen. But, you know, Starship, I don't think that Starship understood what they had. Tay says, didn't Rocket Girls disband last month? And Licksbrick says, Rocket Girls disbanded, so now it's a great time to get them all together. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, and this is one of the reasons why people in Korea are mad at JYP for NiziU. I think that's how you pronounce it. They're like, you're giving away all the secrets to K-pop to foreign countries, and they're going to steal it. Just like they steal technology secrets. But, like, the time has come for really get out there and, like, make K-pop camps in China. Granted, they're eventually going to figure it out. Like, it's going to be hard to keep it away from them. Eventually, they're going to figure it out and do it for themselves. But, like, for the first 5 years is an excellent time to import K-pop stylings into China and just make these groups. I'm surprised that like Lay and Chris and Luhan and Tao have not opened their own record labels. They really could be making like massive boy groups in China as we speak. But I guess they're focused on their own careers right now, so they don't really have time for that, even though, Tao, I think you have time for that. I'm not trying to be shady, but I think you have time for that. But yeah, now's the time. Jump while the iron is hot. Starship misused them. I don't know why you let Starship do that to China Line. I don't know. Starship is dumb. But and we've said it before, but I'll say it again. Starship is dumb. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They really don't. They have no idea. Like, Starship. That's why I'm not excited for Gravity at all. Like, I wish I could get into them, but there's been nothing about them that has made me excited. But it took me a minute to get excited about Monsta X when they first debuted, too, because their first debut video is a hot mess. If you've never watched their very first music video, please watch the first Monsta X music video after debut. I don't even really know what the point of the video was, other than the fact that I think they were in jail, but they found a gun, and they spent the entire video like running through the jail trying to figure out what to do with this gun. I have no idea. But yeah, Luhan, Tao, Chris, open up your own record label where you produce C-pop groups. You could make it happen. You've got the connections. You know the people. You could pay the songwriters. You could pay the choreographers. Do it. Do it now. Do it now. Make this happen. Set up your retirement fund right now. You could be the next JYP by China. You absolutely could. You just have to make it up in your mind that you want to do it.
You can do anything you put your mind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I'm surprised that Nickhoon is not actively doing that in Thailand as we speak. Like, Nickhoon from 2PM really should be like, Korea, it's been real, but I'm headed back to Thailand and I'm fixing to start like my Thai music empire. T-pop is coming for that ass. Because I really think that he could do it. You know, I think he could do it. I think that he could tell Bam Bam, hey, you got a job when you get out of whatever GOT7 is, come see me. I got something for you. I feel like that's what 10 is going to do when he finally gets out from under SM. But yeah, like some of these places are clamoring for a group. I think it's hard for groups to work in China when they don't have something special And I think that K-pop groups our K-pop companies in Korea are really good at honing special. Whereas I think just putting a random set of boys together, it don't work. But being able to identify which personalities work the best, definitely K-pop is very good at giving you the right mix of personalities to make a group work. But yeah, Nick, go back. In fact, let me give I'm gonna give the perfect setup to Nickun. Nickun, hi, it's me, Samantha. We have never talked before. You don't know me. I'm not sure how you found this video, but I've just got something I would like to put before you that I think would really work a lot for you. Hopefully, you'll take my advice, and this is something that would really help out a lot. So, I don't know if your sister has told you, but Boys Love, it's a thing. Your sister was involved in a show called Love by Chance. Huge. They're doing a season 2. So your sister is probably aware of like what a big leap in visibility Boys Love is getting. Also, how a lot of these Boys Love groups are trying to do their own K-pop-esque boy bands and how that's actually making money in Thailand, your home country. So now is a great time for you to come back and strike a production and development deal with Grammy GMMTV. And I think that what you need to do with these production deals is I think that you need to recruit your own set of boys who are multi-talented. You can put them through K-pop training school, if you will. You could ask your mentor JYP if maybe wanted a 10% slice of the action, and then just put them through the pace, get them really good with variety, get them really good with the singing and the dancing, bring in some produced friends, and then debut your group by doing a whole Boys Love show, and then having their songs be the soundtrack for the Boys Love show. Nickun, I know that in Korea, that would be the kiss of death to have a bunch of young idol trainees do a bunch of kind of gay themed television. But obviously, your homeland is a little bit different. They're exporting yours. Your sister can help you out. She's big friends with a few of the really important guys. But Nickun, this is a way for you to really solidify yourself, and it needs to be a production deal. They cannot own what you're doing. GMMTV cannot own it, but it's a production deal where they pay for part of production. In exchange, they get exclusive airing rights for the show, and also they get exclusive distribution rights when you release the album. This is me talking to you. This is me giving you business advice. Your sister, like I said, she really can help you out. She knows the industry. She's an actress. But Nickun, this is me talking to you. This is how you're going to make your money. Not only that, but you also need to be talking to Lisa behind closed doors and be like, hey, we got several options here. When you're ready to get out from YG, when your contract with YG is over, they will either have to pay you exorbitant amount of money to keep you, which you'll be worth because of your Thai fan base, or come back home. And you, me, Bam, Tin, we're all going to get together and we're going to be the competition in Thailand. We are going to be the training camp in Thailand. Anybody want to do this idol game? Come through us, because we will be the ones creating the blueprint. Nickun, you're so well respected. You have so much experience. You can break these kids into Japan if that's where they really want to go. You've got connections. Don't waste these connections. Don't be so focused on your solo career that you're missing out on an opportunity to make like boss money, because boss money is waiting for you. So, I don't know. Just a shout out to you, Nickun. We love you. Man, this TikTok thing. So I don't know if you guys have heard the latest news, but China, I think it was yesterday, passed a law saying that they have to be the people who sign off on any export of technology from China. Now, you maybe ask yourself, what does that mean? Break it down to me. How's that got anything to do with TikTok? So the algorithm that's used to drive TikTok now is a state secret according to the law that was passed in China. So in order for TikTok to be sold to an American company, they would have to get permission from the Chinese government to do so, because China is now saying they have to approve any IP that leaves the country. any technological IP. So all I'm saying is that two things are going on here. Either TikTok really is as bad as people have said it is in terms of collecting your data, and they don't want an American company to see the algorithm because then they'll see how much information is being sent to the government, perhaps. Or they're doing this because they just want to be a thorn in Donald Trump's side, in which case I don't blame them for that either. It's realistic. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, China has been passing a lot of laws that have been very overreaching, and if I was a citizen in China or Hong Kong, I would be trying my damnedest to get the hell out of there right now because things are not looking nice. Not saying, just saying. It's looking a little oppressive, if you know what I mean. A little dictatorish, if you know what I mean. But that's all. The last thing I'm going to talk about real quick before I get out of here, I'm not going to start any new conversations, I promise. But just this. Mason and I have a boys love vlog that we do on his channel. His channel is B like boy, L like love, underscore KIKI. So basically it's boys love Kiki. And we have been doing mostly weekly vlogs. We've had a couple of weekends that we had to skip so far, but we try to get together every single Sunday to film our Boys Love vlog. So if you like Boys Love, please join us over there. We have reviewed a lot of series so far, and we plan to review a lot more. But specifically, we just got there doing a review of History 3 Trapped, which is a Taiwanese Boys Love. And I really think that we had a good conversation. I think we highlighted a show that is very engaging and makes for a good conversation. I really, really hope that you guys will come and check out our vlog. If you don't like History 3 Trapped, we have so many more things we've reviewed. We've done anime for Boys Love. We've done Japanese shows for Boys Love. We've done Taiwanese. We do a lot of Thai Boys Love. But it's something new, something different that we've been doing, and I would really hope that you guys will join us there because we put a lot of thought into what we do. It's not at all professional, but we do put a lot of thought into what we do. I try to dress up for it. I don't put on makeup, but I do try to dress up for it. So if you could join us there, that would really mean a lot to us. Just let us know that you're there, in the comments, like I'm here. But yeah, please join us there because the conversations have been really fun, and we'd like to have more people, be a part of those conversations and help us kind of determine what you would like to see and that we could be talking about moving forward, because the Boys Love landscape is getting wide open. There's so many new shows coming down the pipe, and it's going to get to a point where we're not going to be able to know what to watch next. So we definitely need more viewers and more people joining us in the comment section. So thank you so much, and I will talk to you all later. Bye. Take care of yourself.